All right. Welcome everybody. We are live here on twitch.tv/Perry Von Vicious for a very special Wednesday afternoon Perry. I don't do afternoon midday streams very often, but I got a special project I want to work on here. Uh, Company I work for, great deal out here, Blitzkrieg Pro. I wanted to do an entryway playset for them, like the one that I designed for Pro Wrestling Grind. This is their entryway. And you can see there's not necessarily much to it. They have a black curtain that we come through, and then we have these two great looking banners that really fill the space well. And we sort of want to play with this design. That's what I want to work toward. And I'm thinking I'm just going to have sort of two pillars. You can make your entryway as wide or narrow as you need it to be by how you set it up. And they won't take up a lot of space, so they can go right on a toy shelf with your figures. But that's sort of what we're working toward is something sort of based on this design here. It's going to be sort of a takeoff on the design. It'll be a little bit different, but I think we can come up with something pretty cool. So, first thing I'm going to do, I've got my project open here. Off screen, I have the grind entryway, and we're going to sort of start with that as our starting point because I think I can work with what I have there and we can try to design something similar. So here we have this is one of the legs from the grind entryway, and that's going to be sort of our starting point. We definitely need this to go up higher than that. We need it to be a bit bigger. So I'm gonna remove some of these elements here. So I'm gonna remove the whole thing for now. I'm gonna one by one bring parts in. Right. There we go. We're going to start with just the one leg. And I have an idea for how I want this to work because these girders, that's a great design. I like that. But really, I'm using this for sizing and spacing. We're going to end up deleting this. Um, so what I want to do is this sort of girder design, and I'd like it to be on the sides and this will be the back. And then on the front, we're going to sort of do that flag design. So starting with that as our sort of starting point here, we're gonna we're starting over whole cloth here. This is really just here for me to take measurements because it is a really good size. It's a great size to work from, and I can rip off my own design, so to speak. Okay, and I like that view better. Zoom way in, and then we're gonna take this down and make it roughly the same height. About a 2 millimeter ought to do it. All right. And then I do like to radius this just a little bit, sort of around the edges. Looks a little cleaner, looks a little cooler. All right. So that's a good start. We are going to make these a little bit taller than this because these are short. These go underneath a cross brace. The Blitz design won't have the cross brace. It'll just be standalone pillars. So we're going to, yeah, we'll take this from this view, drop in another square here. And I have to be mindful of the height. I have to be mindful of the height because I do have limitations on how high I can build on my own my printers. They have max sizes they can really work here. Hey, Elmira, welcome. Yeah, daytime monster truck. We don't get these often. This is a rare occurrence. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm just gonna kind of line this up here, and I'm literally just I'm stealing my own design here. I want this to be roughly the same size. So we'll go to like there, but I do want this. Yeah, you know what? Actually, yeah, that's gonna work. That's gonna work just fine, I think, for us to do that. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. That's good. All right, and then for width, I can just steal the number here, 30.25. There we go. All right, we're lined up, and then we'll try to get something in the way of centered here. Something like right about there ought to do. All right, and that should be sort of the end of me needing this piece. So we're gonna lose that entirely. Bring this in and center this. So again, I'm adding the sort of cross member look on the sides and back, and then the front we're gonna make look like the Blitzkrieg flags for those just tuning in. This is the look we're going for, sort of these flags here, but we're crossing it with sort of a girder pillar so that it can stand on its own. I think it's gonna look really nice on the toy shelf. All right. I do have a couple other little tricks in my sleeve here that are going to make this look very cool when all is said and done. So let's get the girder design on there first. And I think I want to do this. There's a few ways I could do this. I think the easiest way is we are going to bring all of these in by just 1 millimeter, which I have, or I guess, yeah, 2 millimeters is probably pretty good. Two. I have these set so that everything sort of pops in millimeter increments right now, so it'll all move pretty easily with how it snaps at the moment. Okay, that looks pretty good. We do need to make sure it's centered though. I think that's probably good enough. All right, yeah, I like that. That's looking pretty good. All right, so now with this front view, there we go. What I want to do is I want to add our sort of the girders here. So I'm going to do that a little bit differently than how I did it on the grind entryway, because I do want these two pieces to feel different. That's one thing that I really enjoy about Pro Wrestling Grind and Blitzkrieg Pro is as companies, just as entities in the same region, they have uniquely different feels. Blitzkrieg Pro is sort of a party atmosphere. It's a good time hangout. I mean, their biggest show of the year, their WrestleMania, is the Blitzkrieg Luau. Everyone wears Hawaiian shirts. They put up tiki torches and stuff. People wear leis to the ring. It's pretty cool. Grind is like that smash mouth in your face puroresu Japanese wrestling style. Um, both provide incredible wrestling and great performances, but they are uniquely different from each other, and that's something I really appreciate because it's so easy for the world of indie wrestling to become kind of homogenous, if that makes sense. All right, so the size I want to go here is about a 7 millimeter. We want that on both here. We want this to be even. All right. And then we kind of just we want to round that corner, and let's get a good. I think, well, we could go all the way to the, you know what? We're going to go all the way to the edge. We're going to go right up to the edge with it because I think that looks really good. All right. And then we're going to copy that, put another one here, and then we will go ahead and we're going to copy both, and we're going to line them up exactly the same way up top. And this is our starting point. Yeah, good, good. All right, cool. Pleased with that. Now we need sort of that zigzag that you see on the trusses that are used at wrestling. We also need around the top. We're gonna match the style. Maybe we'll match the style. I might just put a cap up top. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna cap it. That's exactly what we're gonna do. All right. What is our measurement here? This is 25 by 25, 25 by 26. I don't mind that. I don't mind it being a little oblong. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna go 20. No, 18. We want 28. Okay. And then the other one was 25, so we're gonna go 27. And then what we need to do is to center this above that. And we're gonna move it way up tippy top. Let's get a bit of a front view here. Bring it down to about there. We could probably even go a bit bigger than that, I think. Yeah, we will. We'll full on, we'll bring it out to match the edges here. Ooh, and actually, while I'm looking, I want to bring both of those in one. I don't want them to go past the edge. It's a tricky thing, you know, we're walking a fine line here. Ooh, okay. That'll work. Let's take that to there, that to there. Let's get a look. Okay, that's a good cap. I do want it a little bit rounded though. Just a little to sort of match the pieces under it. Yeah, that's the look we want. We want a nice soft cap up top. All right. Now we got to make the big decision. We're gonna go with the orientation of the work plate here and say this is the front. So this is where the Blitzkrieg flag will live. We need the girder design on these other sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in another one of these. And we are going to, let's see, we made those a 7. Let's make this like a 5. Oh, all right, let's get our right hand view here. This is going to need to be kind of long, probably maybe about a 30. And then let's cut it to a 45-degree angle. And let's see how that's going to line up for us. Just not quite long enough. So let's bump it up to a 32. Now let's take a look. It's just got to sink in on both edges. Yeah, that's kind of perfect. It's kind of perfect, but it's not perfect. So we're going to make it a little bit longer still. Yeah, we'll go all the way up to a 34. Now let's take a look. Yeah, that's comfortably within all the limits that I'd like here. I'll lower it on down to there. And now we can just sink it into the plastic here. We want it to protrude, but not in a way that's like distracting and not in a way that'll be difficult to print. All right, that's good. All right. So we're gonna copy that, bring it up to about there, and we're gonna flip it horizontally like that. Yeah, now we're cooking. Yeah, now we can just copy paste it all the way to the top. Ah, I love how that worked just now. All right, and now we're gonna select all of those. Control D gives me a copy. Go to the top view, rotate it 90, and now we're just gonna line it up from above as best we can, and then we'll scoot down and get a look from below. How's this looking? I think we can actually, yeah, we can go back to about there. That's looking good. All right, and then let's Control D it again, and it pops it in right where we want it. Love when things come together that way. Well, let's see, how's that looking? Pretty even on all sides. Actually, I think we can probably, these ones can come out just a little. We can make them a little bit more pronounced and they'll still print well. Maybe not that much. We need to adjust our snap settings here. Yeah, that's looking good. All right, so that's our girders on 3 sides. That went really fast. All right. Hey, Unprofessional Wrestling has rolled in. Good to see you, pal. And Rye is in on a meeting all the way through 4 p.m. Ooh, woof. Yeah, for those just joining, we are working on a entryway playset for Blitzkrieg Pro. Their entrance looks a little bit like this. It's pretty simple, but these sort of pop-up flags that stand there, I'm turning into two matching girders that'll go on either side of your figure. Um, and I think we're gonna have a pretty good outcome here because I've got a good plan in my head for how this is gonna look and how it should work. Um, all right, so we have that's all the easy parts. Now we get to the complicated stuff. One of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go ahead and copy a piece from the grind playset. This is my spotlight holder. For those who haven't seen, I picked up a big multi-pack of these little LED battery-powered lights. These are just a big multi-pack from Amazon. When you pull the little battery blocker out and you twist it in, they light up and then they change color. They just fade between colors. And I designed this little drop-in so that I could just bloop, just pop them right in. And yeah, they're a great little addition. They add lighting to your entryway. Very cool. Let's see. Unprofessional Wrestling says just about to leave for Madison, then Chicago tomorrow, then Michigan on Friday for the first throwdown shows. Yeah, all right. That's awesome. Yeah, we still got to talk. We got to see if we can get me to one of the throwdowns later this year. All right. So, with this piece, what we can do is we got to put a matching piece. I got to put a matching piece on here that this can glue to because I print them separately. The orientation you print them at makes them come out a little cleaner. It also means that where this piece is going to be printed in rainbow filament because that's the vibe at Blitzkrieg. This is going to be printed in rainbow, so it'll be different colors all the way up. These pieces can be printed in like a silver and look like a lighting fixture, or a black to look like sort of stage lighting. Um, that's a thing that I find is very helpful to be able to print in different colors. All right, so we're gonna want this about there and about here-ish. Let's get a front view, and I want it higher for sure. Now, this may seem silly since they're going to be printed as two different pieces. They're not actually connected. But putting the pieces together is a great way for me to just see how they're going to fit. But like I said, I need a place for that to connect. So I'm going to go ahead and make this little disc here. We'll bring it to right here. Let's get our front view back again. Get it centered. And then we'll just bring it on up to where it needs to be. And that should work as a really good anchor point when we need to glue this on here. Yeah, we'll be able to just flat glue the piece right like that. That's going to be perfect. All right. So that said, get that light out of the way for now. Ooh, that's way out of the way. Don't need it there. There we go. We're just gonna move that over here for now. This is good. I don't need to change anything about that. The one thing I will do, I'm going to make it a little bit deeper so that it's all sort of really nicely connected. A lot of, you want the plastic merged in with each other when it prints. All right, and now comes the fun part. Now we get to design these Blitzkrieg flags that go on this entryway. Now the first step is going to be just making the flag shape. Then we have to give it a design. And there's a few ways to do this. And I'm kind of excited to try some of these out. Thankfully, I have one thing up my sleeve that I'm excited to try here. And we're going to see how it works because there's certain things that I find Tinkercad does really well, and there's certain things that are promising but don't always work quite the way I'd like. So first, I'm going to put a crossbeam here and a crossbeam here. They're going to be fairly pronounced, fairly wide, and that's what our sort of flag shape is going to land on. All right, so for that, we're using another one of these guys. Tip it on its side. We're going to give it full side so it's nice and round. And then we got to make this a size that we like. And I think that 7 from those big thick ones that are on there is going to be good. I do need it to be wider like this though, because the piece that's going to go on, it's going to be a little bit thick. So we want that to work out. So I think this is actually going to be our shape. Now let's get this sort of top view here. Yeah, because this is going to end up sitting something like this, but I need it to be like full width probably, or nearly full width. Yeah, something like about there is going to look really good. And then we need another one to match it. And we're going to bring that one way up. It's going to be a little bit more shallow though. And you'll see why. You'll see why because I have something special in mind for how this is going to work. All right, there we go. We got that done. So now I get to play with a shape I don't get to mess with all that often. And that is this wedge. So we're gonna rotate that around because we need it in a specific position here. Now we'll bring it on up to about, let's call it there. We're gonna back it up so that it meets with, yeah, right there is looking good. Then I'm gonna bring this to about there. We'll call that pretty good. Stretch it nice and tall. And this is actually going to tell me if I need to bring it forward more, if anything needs to be thicker. I think that actually may work. That might be okay just like that, but let's see. Bring it over. Yeah, we're gonna need it to be forward a bit more because we want this to come up to this piece here. And that may just be a matter of I have to tilt this when it's done. We'll see. We'll see. I think we're gonna be able to make it work. I might just need to make it taller and then cut it off. Yeah, we're gonna make it tall and then cut it off. So something like about there. And let's zoom back in. Let's put this back where I wanted it, which was about here. Yeah, that's gonna look good. All right. Bring in our empty space. Make this kind of big. And then I gotta zoom out a bit for that. This is a weird operation, one that I've not had to do a ton of, especially not on stream. And then we'll just come back to here. Yeah, good. All right, and then we'll select that piece and we're gonna group them, and that's gonna cut the top of that off. There we go. That's what we needed. All right. So now we sort of have our flag piece, which is going to look like this. We got sort of the top bar, the bottom bar and the flag. And I'm going to bring them out to about here because we're going to add that back on where we need it in just a minute. But right now what we got to do is we got to make this look like Blitzkrieg. Actually, let me check. I don't know if the width on that was what I wanted. Let's see. Yeah, I think I want the flag to be nice and wide. So we're going to get our view here. We're going to bring this right up to the edge of that piece. And then do the same over here. Yeah, we want this to be real close. Yeah, that looks good. That gives us a lot of real estate to work with on the design. Okay, cool. So, once again, we're going to bring this over to the side because this is now our primary concern because we need to make this look like that. And it's not going to be hard. The one thing that is a little bit of a pain is the orientation of the lettering here is a little bit complicated. Not undoable, but it's a little complicated. We're going to make it work though. So I'm going to go ahead, bring in a piece of text. And yeah, we'll go ahead and flip it upright. Bring it up a little ways here. And because of the orientation, we're going to have to do each letter one at a time. Not not world shattering, but not the easiest. And let's take a look. If I want to match that blitz kind of shape, we're going to need something like this. And then I think, okay, that's not what I need. That's not what I need. There we go. That's what makes it bold. We do want to go kind of bold with it. So this is what we're working with, right? We want to make sure that we get this looking the way that we envision it. So let's go ahead, and the spacing on this is going to be tricky. And that's entirely because I don't actually know how much space I'm going to need. And I think I do want to have these the little triangles that go next to the Blitzkrieg Pro here. I do think I want that. I think we're actually going to have to make this be a little bit smaller too. Let's yeah, let's go about like that. Now, if I make it too small, we end up losing a lot of detail in the final print. We don't want that. So, okay, we're going to call that probably pretty workable. And I'm literally eyeballing this to the drawing to just see, or to the actual picture to see, like, do I think this will fit reasonably? And I think it will. I think we're going to be okay. Now, let's go ahead and let's put a triangle in next to it because I want to make sure that that's going to work too. For that, we're going to once again use this the wedge shape that we had before. Just like that. Only we're going to need to turn it to there. And then I'm going to need to turn it to there. All right, good. Front view. And this one's nice because we can just eyeball this. Okay, that's looking good. Then I want to bring this into like about there. And then this whole piece is going to be a fair bit longer. It's probably going to go to like here or so. And then the top's going to stretch up next to the B. We need to make that a different color or we're never going to be able to see what we're doing here. In fact, I'm going to make the lettering white as well. All right, let's get a look here. How are we looking? We could probably go a little bit wider with it. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this just a little like to there. I just want it to stand out. Okay, and now we'll back this up with the B so that they line up. All right. Control D, move it over to here, and then we are gonna flip this horizontally. That's one thing that's real nice about this particular program. Symmetry is real easy to achieve. All right, we got the B here. That's looking good. All right, so now I'm gonna copy this, and then we're gonna try to get our Blitzkrieg written down here the whole way down, and see if we can line this up, make it look the way we want. Okay, so we're gonna call that Blitzkrieg. Just just getting an idea on the spacing here. I want it to be legible once it's printed. On the Blitzkrieg sign, because it's so big, they can really stack the letters on each other, and it's still very legible. But because this print is going to be to scale with Hasbro wrestling figures, these letters are going to be very small. So the spacing becomes really important. Um, all right. But in this, for the sake of uniformity, right now we are going to select all of these. And I'm going to use that to make it just a little bit wider, because that is going to make it a little bit more legible. We're going to move it over just a hair, just to make sure everything's good and lined up. All right, and then I'm going to take these, and we are going to move the whole thing up just a little bit. I don't want to crowd the top, but I got something planned for the bottom here. So I want to make sure, and we have to have the word pro right below this. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and make a duplicate of this and then bring it down about even. Okay. So now this becomes really easy. Oh, there's capitals and lower cases here. Well, we don't need that. We just need capitals. Oh, interesting. The way that they arrange these is not totally lined up, so I may have to do a little shifting. And this is where I have to look over at my thing. It is IE. I always have to look twice to think, is it IE or is it EI? I was an English major, not a German major. So makes it a little tough to get it every time. Although the years I spent listening to and playing songs by the Ramones, you would think it would be pretty simple for me. Now they have Blitzkrieg with the exclamation point and then pro. That's going to be a little tough for me to fit. I can try it though. The exclamation point is pretty cool, and it does make it really accurate. Yeah, I might have to just acquiesce and go with that. Okay, and now I'm just lining all these up in a way that's pleasing to my eye. Because right now, the way that they've kind of lined everything up, not everything falls where I want it. I think that looks pretty good. So that said, now I gotta select all of these. And for the sake of space, I am gonna squeeze them in just a little bit here. Right? All right. There we go. I just want to make sure, this is the line you walk with this is you want everything to look good, you want everything to be legible, but also, okay, I think that's going to buy me the space I need. I can still come up here. And then I want these to come all, oh, hey. Watch it. I'm going to line it up with the bottom of that. And then we're going to stretch it till it meets. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We're cooking now. All right. And then we need Pro across the bottom here. So I'm going to Control D. And then we're going to lower it on down to where we need it here. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm not upset with this. This is looking pretty good. All right, and now comes the tricky part. I want to try something. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it work. I do need to shrink these in. Holy cow. That's uh that's a bit much. Getting a little crazy over here. Okay, that looks good. I just want all those at the same height because when I print this, the whole thing's going to be printed in a rainbow filament, which is going to look really cool. But to make the lettering more legible, I'm gonna be sort of stamping the top, so it's got to be raised up. The top's going to be white so that it pops when you look at it. All right. So now comes the thing where I want to try something, and I don't know if it's going to work necessarily. This is where it gets a little tricky. I can STL SVG. Okay. So I need PNG to SVG. There's always some free converters. Um, and I have a file that I need to turn into a vector. Don't mind the sounds of files not supported. Come on. Files definitely supported. Let's just see if it lets me. Oh, it's saved as a web file. Come on. Google image search will do that to you every time. I don't know why they did that. It's such a useless thing. Like, but there is a background free PNG version. Yeah, I don't want a web file. Come on. Oh, terrible. Terrible that it would do that. So maybe I'm not going to be able to do this. That would be a real shame because the Blitzkrieg Pro logo is pretty cool. Okay, it looks like I'm going to have to do two conversions in a row, which I'm sure will make everything look real good. All right, now I've got the PNG, and let's see how this behaves. Generate. Download SVG. Okay. Now we might be working. Now we just might be working here. Got a cat playing with stuff behind me making noise. Buddy, you're ruining the stream. Or you're making the stream much better. I don't know. All right. So that's importing. Tinkercad could not find any supported elements in this SVG. I don't like that. That's unhelpful. I want the SVG import. And if that doesn't work, We could just be out of luck on. Yeah, I think we're just out of luck. So rather than having the logo, which we almost had, we almost were able to put the logo on here, which would have been really cool. Instead, we're just gonna, I think we're just gonna stretch these to fill the space, which is kind of a bummer because I feel like we were pretty close to having that. You know what? We're gonna try one more thing, just in case. We're gonna try that vector. I don't know which of these, I don't think either one really matters. Is it really not gonna work? Yeah. Hmm. All right. Well, I guess I was worried that that would happen with Tinkercad. It's been pretty unreliable with importing SVGs. Really kind of a shame. And I'm not going to sit here and try to recreate the Blitzkrieg logo because that's absurd. Ain't no way I'm going to be able to do that. All right. So let's go ahead and select all these. Then we're going to deselect the back here. I'm going to lower it to like here-ish. And then let's see if we just stretch it on up. Yeah, I think we can just make everything a little bit bigger. And then we can probably, this B needs to be like here. Yeah, now I'm just getting picky with how this all lines up, and I think that's looking pretty good. Yeah, I like that. I'm pleased. I am pleased with how this is looking. So go ahead and let's get a side view. I'm gonna make it just a little bit. I just want those letters. So we're gonna make it just a little bit thicker here. And then we're going to come over here and we are going to tilt it to match the angle of our flag, or at least get pretty close. Okay. And then we can kind of give it one of those. I can hear my chickens going nuts outside. My chickens are crazy. And actually, I want to bring it forward just a hair. Let's get that left view again. We're going to back it into about there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, cool. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and select that whole mess. Get our front view here. We're going to bring it over, get it nice and centered. And in fact, I'm going to stretch this whole thing and make it just a little bit taller, I think. I kind of want to go like to about there. I think is going to be a pretty good look. And then I'm even going to raise it up just a little bit. Yeah, and I think that's going to be our look. To me, that's the Blitzkrieg banner. Let's go ahead and I'm going to make it sort of match the original picture. Yeah, let's go ahead and we're just going to turn everything sort of this color. Yeah, we'll go with like a gray to stand in for the black. I want this to look nice. Um, and then we're going to take these letters. We're definitely turning them the orange to match the sign. I go. And this is really just so I can get a good thumbnail for when I upload this after the fact to YouTube. Hey, if you're watching live and you aren't subscribed to my YouTube, you should do that. It's a big help to me. I'm closing in on being able to fully monetize the channel, and that would be pretty excellent for me. All right, and then I want to make this flag a darker, yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And we'll make this darker as well because that's going to be our little spotlight that goes on here. Right, and we'll line the spotlight up so we can all get a look at how that's going to attach. Cool. And of course, there will be two of these, one for either side of your entryway. So let's go ahead and we're going to move this on over. Control D the whole deal. We'll set up its matching pair that's going to go over here. And again, this is going to be printed in a rainbow filament. With then the letters are going to be sort of painted a different color, and the light holders will be printed in their own color as well. So that's how it's looking. I'm really pleased with this. I think this came out great. For one last reference, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring our reference picture on over here. This is me making my entrance at Blitzkrieg Pro. And you can see we've done a pretty good job at recreating the look here. And I think when you get sort of the sideways view where you see there's sort of a top and a bottom to these flags and the sort of girders that happen around here, I think this is going to look really cool. So being able to include these with action figures when I'm selling them at the shows, I think is going to be pretty awesome. Um, so yeah, I'm going to call that a stream. I'm going to go save these files and start my first test prints to see how they come out because I got a good feeling about this one. Like I got a really good feeling about how this is going to look, and I think the finished product is going to be very cool. So thanks for tuning in. This has been a very rare midday, midweek Perry live on Twitch. I will be at Blitzkrieg Pro this Saturday at the Town Square Mall, Springfield, Massachusetts. I am in a battle royal to try to find my way back into contendership for the first ever Blitzkrieg Scramble Championship. So wish me luck there, and hey, come on out to the show. I've got action figures to sell. I just finished putting them together, and they look excellent. I'm very pleased with how they've come out. But yeah, I will see you all there. Thanks for tuning in.